America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Seven 381-3811 877-381-3811. We're gonna have some fun today. Oh my gracious goodness, we is. Oh yes, we be. Oh yeah. A couple of things before I get into. Let me tell you one of the things I want to do tonight. I want to start getting into some history of our founding, history of the Declaration, pre-Revolutionary War. The Revolutionary War really started in 1775 and not 1776, to be honest with you. That's when things were starting to kick in. The Constitution, some of the people in the Constitution you've never heard of before. But who signed it? They were really big deals back in the day, but names that you're unfamiliar with. You know, this reminds me of something. I told you maybe a year ago or 6 months ago, I've become fascinated with the Impression era of painters, of artists. And slightly before the Impressionist period and slightly after the Impressionist period. But I really read everything I can get my hands on now about some of these artists. Doesn't mean I can pronounce their names. Most of them are French, not all of them. And it's funny because I seem to know more about them and what they did than how to pronounce their names. And there are some disputes over how to pronounce their names, but I don't pretend to know all of them. And some of them were unbelievable. But they never got top-tier billing. They never got top-tier billing. Camille Pissarro, one of the founders of the entire movement. Most people have never heard of him. Edward Baudin, another one. And then there were men in the movement and a few women. Alfred Sisley. Now, I know a lot of this is French for many of you, but I'm getting to a point. He was born in Britain. His family moved to France. Others whose names, no doubt, you are familiar with. Monet, obviously. Considered one of the greatest of the great. Cézanne. Gauguin. Brilliant. Everyone's heard of Van Gogh. Seurat. When he was 31, and yet many of you are familiar with that name. You may not be familiar with them and what they did, but the names, right? The names. Renoir, and others. I happen to like Chagall. He wasn't Impressionist, but fabulous in my view. So what, in some cases, separated those who would become renowned for all time and those who wouldn't? Because some of those who painted some of the most magnificent Impressionist pieces are utterly unknown to the vast majority of us, right? And others are very, very well known. Now, obviously, it can be the quality of the work or the interest that work inspired, but some of them were much better at marketing themselves than others. Some of them played bigger roles. And the prominence of the Impressionist movement was considered a very revolutionary, if not radical, movement when it began. It's the same with our founding. It's the same with our founding. There are many men and women who were crucial in the founding of this nation, whose names you probably never heard of before. Whose names you probably never heard of before. And I want us to familiarize ourselves with some of them. You want to begin? Should I begin with this, Mr. Producer? I should, because there's other things I want to talk about, too, that are annoying me. But let's start with the stuff that I find fascinating. Let's take a look at some of the signers of the Constitution. You know, when this is all said and done, broadcasting for me, and I don't know when it'll be or when it'll ever be, I really want to teach one course in American history, early American history. Maybe at a small college somewhere, if they'd have me. This is one of the reasons I love our country. This is one of the reasons I get furious at people who trash it in the name of claiming that they're America first, or MAGA especially. I get the Marxists and the Islamists. They hate us, they hate the country, they're trying to destroy it. But the others, they wrap themselves in the flag, in the founding, in the Constitution, while they're burning the whole thing down. I have no stomach for this. None. How many have heard of William Samuel Johnson of Connecticut? He's a signer of your Constitution. A self-taught lawyer, as many lawyers were back then. He had many connections to Britain. He was torn about this, the competing sides, when the revolution broke out in 1775. He worked on some of the peacemaking initiatives. He tried. He was accused of communicating with the British in 1779, but his skills in the law were so good that he was sent to be one of the delegates to the Constitutional Convention. How about Richard Bassett, B-A-S-S-E-T-T? Ever hear of him? He was a delegate from Delaware, the first state. A captain of the cavalry militia during the Revolutionary War, Bassett was a committed member of the convention. He was a regular attendee. Some of them were not. He was also a quiet one. He made no speeches at all, and he didn't serve on any committees. Essentially an observer. Ever hear of Jacob Broom? Also of Delaware. He's a farmer, a surveyor, successful businessman. He turned his hand to many ventures. Import company, cotton mill, real estate. He attended every session of the Constitutional Convention as well. Also from Delaware, George Reed. Ever hear of George Reed, one of 6 brothers? He signed the Declaration of Independence. He voted against independence at the Continental Congress He championed the cause of the small states during the convention. He eventually went on to serve in the United States Senate. Fairly significant figure that most people have never heard of. A couple more. We'll save some for each successive day. We're on the air here. William Few, F-E-W, on behalf of Georgia. He had a tough childhood. He taught himself law, began to practice in 1776. He later became one of Georgia's first senators and worked as a federal judge from 1796 to 1799. One of the men who signed the Constitution of the United States. Now, the convention was attended by 55 of the 70 appointed delegates. Did you know there were 70 appointed delegates? Only 55 attended. Only 39 of the 55 actually signed the final document. 39 of the 55. We won't do this all in one sitting. I will get into this in more detail. Why is that? Why did only 39 of them sign it? Some of them disagreed with it. Some of the greatest founders disagreed with it because they thought it gave too much power to the central government. So you just learned something you probably didn't know before. Mr. Producer, I don't know if you knew. Right? They don't teach it. There were 70 delegates appointed, 55 attended, 39 of the 55 signed the Constitution of the United States. Now, I suspect you know more than 99.9% of the podcasters out there who trash our country. I've always believed that one of my roles here, and I mean this, one of my roles here is to fill these gaps. I mean, this is a big platform. Not just to rant and throw around curse words, to lie about our history, to trash our country, to promote Qatar and all the rest of it. No. I want to promote Americanism. The Revolutionary War. When we return, I want to tell you about a man named Haim Solomon, who none of you have heard of, maybe a handful, but virtually none of you. And without him, there would have been no victory at the Revolutionary War. There would be no America. That's how significant he was, and you're going to find out about a number of these people during the course of our 250th anniversary, because I'm going to make sure of it. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Haim Solomon. This is one of the areas Wikipedia actually gets it right. He was born in 1740 and he died at the age of 44. He was born in Poland. Studied finance in Western Europe. Came to the United States, New York City in 1775, right at the beginning of the Revolution. That's when war broke out. Solomon supported the Patriots. He provided financial services while working alongside financier Robert Morris. You may have heard of him. He was the superintendent of finance of the United States, a very famous member of the Sons of Liberty. And Haim Solomon joined the Sons of Liberty. And he was arrested multiple times by the British for espionage. And the last time they said they would execute him, and he bought off a guard who let him go. He's considered, is Haim Solomon, the financier of the Revolutionary War. And without him, the war could not have been prosecuted. At key times, they turned to him. Madison, George Washington. He helped convert French loans into hard currency by selling bills of exchange on Morris's behalf. He also brokered large donations to the Patriot cause. This included a critical $20,000 loan out of his own money at the request of George Washington to Madison. In 1781, that enabled Washington's decisive Yorktown campaign, the turning point of the American independence. Without Solomon, that campaign could not have taken place. From 1781 to 1784, Solomon helped provide over $650,000, almost $15 million in today's numbers. He was also an advocate for religious liberty. He co-founded Philadelphia's Mikveh Israel Synagogue, challenging discriminatory laws. Despite donating his entire fortune to the Continental Army and several founding fathers, he helped them. He gave them no-interest loans so they could survive, including Madison. He died penniless in Philadelphia at the age of 44 due to the failure of government officials and private lenders to repay his debt, the money they owed him. He sympathized with the Patriots. He joined the New York branch of the Sons of Liberty. In 1776, he was arrested by the British as a spy, quickly pardoned. However, the British authorities detained him for 18 months on a boat as an interpreter for the Hessian troops, since he could speak multiple languages, including German. Solomon used his new position to help prisoners of war from the Continental Army escape. He encouraged Hessian troops to desert and collaborated with Hercules, Mulligan, and Cato to carry out other acts of espionage on behalf of the Americans. In 1778, Solomon was arrested again, convicted of espionage, and sentenced to death. He made his escape, made his way with his family to Philadelphia, where the Continental Congress was located. Once resettled in Philadelphia, Solomon resumed his activities as a broker, became the agent of the French consul as well as the paymaster for all French forces in North America. 1781, he began working extensively with Robert Morris, as I said, the newly appointed Superintendent of Finance of the United States. And he provided money for the Battle of Yorktown to pay Washington's troops, who demanded several months of pay or they weren't going to fight what would become the key battle. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. There are a number of tremendous patriots who get no mention, without whom we would not have the United States of America. And they gave up everything. Everything. And as I was saying earlier, this is why I get infuriated infuriated about the trashing of our country, the promoting of Middle East monarchies and people like Putin and all the rest. This is not who we are. This is not who we are. Back to Haim Solomon, and I really do believe that if the podcast business was more oriented toward promoting America, was more oriented towards patriotism, less oriented toward grifters, narcissists, and foul-mouthed buffoons, this country would be far better off, particularly given the access to so many young people. And so I condemn them. I condemn them. They're not influencers. They're destroyers. Not influencers. They're destroyers. Washington determined that he needed at least $20,000 to finance the Yorktown battle, the last battle. The French Navy was there, and they gave him a limited amount of time because they were going to leave. They couldn't afford to stay there, and they didn't want to be boxed in by the British either, who they were boxing out. Morris, who was in charge of the funding for the war, told them there were no funds, no credit available. They were broke. Dead broke. Washington said, quote, "Send for Haim Solomon," unquote. Solomon did everything he could. He raised $20,000 for the sale of bills of exchange, and with that contribution, Washington was able to pay his troops, provide for food and supplies before the troops mutinized. He conducted the Yorktown campaign. That was the final battle, really, of the American Revolution. Now, Haim Solomon brokered the sale. If you haven't guessed by now, he was Jewish. Brokered the sale of a majority of the war aid from France and the Dutch Republic. Sold bills of exchange to American merchants. Solomon also personally supported various members of the Continental Congress during their stay in Philadelphia. You may have heard of some of them, James Madison and James Wilson. He requested below-market interest rates. He never asked for repayment at all. And that would wind up with him going bankrupt before he died. Broke. Didn't have a penny. He's believed to have granted outright bequests to men who he thought were unsung heroes of the Revolution, who had become impoverished during the war. One example is Bodo Otto, another person you probably never heard of. He was the senior surgeon in the Continental Army. Otto joined the Army at the age of 65 years old. He served for the entire war, and among other things, he established the hospital at Valley Forge, where he often used his own funds to purchase medical supplies. He went broke. But due to Solomon's bequest to Otto, Otto was able to rebuild his medical practice in Reading, Pennsylvania, at the end of the war. The Treaty of Paris was signed on September 3, 1783. It ended the Revolutionary War, but not the financial problems of the new nation. America's war debt to France was never repaid, which was part of the cascade of events leading to the French Revolution. See, France went almost broke, sending their armada to our country to help us win the war against the British, because they wanted to defeat the British. Now, this fellow, Haim Solomon, was involved in the Jewish community in Philadelphia, a member of Congregation Mikveh Israel that he founded. That's right, the Jewish community goes way back, even before the Revolutionary War. In 1782, he made the largest individual donation toward the construction of that synagogue. He fought for religious liberty for all faiths. He helped to remove the religious tests for all faiths. That included Catholics. And he died suddenly and in poverty at the age of 44, January 6, 1785, in Philadelphia. And due to the failure of our government and other governments and private lenders to repay the debt incurred, his family was left penniless when he died at the age of 44. The hundreds of thousands of dollars, which would be tens of millions of dollars today, of the Continental debt that he bought with his own fortune were worth only about 10 cents on the dollar when he died. And that was it. So what is his legacy? He has no legacy, except for me mentioning him, as some of these other men I'm going to mention over the course of our 250th anniversary, who have no legacy and deserve a legacy. Haim Solomon deserves a legacy. Without him, we would not have a country. His gravesite is located on the Mikveh Israel Cemetery in Philadelphia. It's unmarked. There are 2 plaque memorials. The east wall has a marble tablet that was installed by his great-grandson. And a granite memorial is set inside the cemetery gate. Other than that, it's as if he never existed. As if he never existed. And there are others just like this. That's Haim Solomon. For all the Jew haters out there who pretend to be America Firsters who are not America Firsters. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Now, the FBI director signed 2 memoranda of understanding, according to the press, with the monarchy, the dictatorship in Qatar, that we would share training and intelligence information with Qatar. So now we are up to our eyeballs in Qatar militarily. When it comes to our intelligence activities, when it comes to our law enforcement activities, our techniques and our training, they will have some of the most sophisticated military equipment built at the ingenuity of the American people, American capitalism. They will have a facility built on our air base in Idaho, and we're told, well, others do too. Yeah, but not a country that was involved in 9/11. Not a country that was involved in October 7. Not a country that supports the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Iran, and the Taliban. Not a country that spends billions of dollars poisoning the minds of our young people in our colleges and universities. Nobody like Qatar has a facility on a base in the United States of America. And I'm gravely concerned about this, gravely. Mr. Producer, I'd like you to post again on social media our hour from yesterday, our first hour, where I talked about this new imperial ruling class. Not all of it, but too much of it seeks to enrich themselves. These are grifters, whether they're in politics, business, media, some of whom have good intentions, many of whom are selling out our country. Those of us who do understand radical Islam, the mentality, the war on the West, and how they intend to conquer the West, that is, who educate ourselves and have become knowledgeable in these ways, because certain of their so-called scholars and imams have told us so. We understand what's going on. You, Mr. and Mrs. America, you do not benefit at all from this relationship. I understand they're going to be sending trillions of dollars into our country. When? When? And I'm sure they're going to have a return on the dollar, too, that's quite significant. I personally am very unhappy about this. It's not a one-party thing. It's a multi-party thing. It's not an ideological thing. People with all kinds of ideologies have their hand in the Qatari trough. I'm repulsed by the phony influencers and podcasters and their ilk who claim to be concerned about you. They claim that the American system is holding you down. They claim that the American system is corrupt. They claim that we took the wrong side on World War II. They trash Jews. They trash Christians while they saddle up to our enemies. Pretty sick. Pretty shocking. This will be a period that goes down in our history books as a very dark period. And the names of these people who want to be famous, they will become infamous. Those of you who have the guts to speak out, and it doesn't take a lot of guts, those of you who speak out, you will be remembered. You will be remembered as great patriots who spoke out when you needed to speak out. You will be the Haim Solomons. You will be the Paul Reveres, the Thomas Paines. That's what you'll be. The others will be the Benedict Arnolds, who turn on their country at a time of need for money, for power. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. You have critics, pseudo-conservatives among others, who say he's not focused on the economy. He's focused like a laser. Peace and prosperity, that's his agenda. Peace abroad, prosperity at home. The vast majority of his executive orders are intended to reduce the bureaucracy, limit regulations, slash them like no president ever has, to open up our lands and our waters to commerce in a responsible, environmentally wise way. And it's working. The big, beautiful bill passed in late May, as I recall, has massive tax cuts that will have significant effect at the beginning and mid-next year. People forget. Ronald Reagan's August 1981 massive tax cuts, and they were massive. It took literally 14 months. Some have said 18, some have said whatever, but I looked it up. It was 14 months until the full force of those tax cuts took effect, and the economy exploded with growth, wealth creation, prosperity, new jobs, increased income, entrepreneurship, massive growth. Donald Trump has put in place a very, very similar program that will do, I believe, the same thing. And as Reagan would say, stay the course. You see some of these rhinos panicking. You see some of these woke Reich types taking shots at the president. Not me. I support what he's done here very, very strongly. And he knows what he's doing. He already did it in his first term. We had a massively prosperous economy. Biden and the Democrats come in and they kill it. It's as if they wanted to kill it. Huge taxes, infinite regulations, restrictions on drilling, restrictions on fishing, restrictions on ranching, restrictions on everything. as if they wanted to decrease economic activity. They passed these massive spending bills, massive debt. They lied about it. Inflation reduction was inflation promotion. The president is trying to undo all that, in addition to create growth. And he has spent God knows how much time negotiating trade deals that are beneficial to the United States, bringing in significant amounts of money to rebuild our industries and so forth against communist China and the rest of them. He's got a lot to be proud of, and he's got a lot to point to. And this issue of affordability is a catchphrase by the left. Like equality, they use that one too. They mean nothing. The fact is, if you create economic growth and prosperity, wealth creation, you not only have affordability, you have well beyond affordability. You have security. You have availability. You have new products, new medicines, new jobs, cutting-edge technologies. That's what Trump's doing, and it will pay off. Stay the course. It will pay off. I'm deeply proud of what he's done. And he has spent a lot of time focused on the domestic economy. The Democrats always talk about Republicans killing the economy. When Bill Clinton ran for president the first time against Bush 41, he kept saying we were in a recession. We were never in a recession. But they repeated the lie, the media repeated the lie, and people thought we were in a recession. That's why Donald Trump's in Pennsylvania this evening. That's why he's going to travel the country. Because nobody like him can communicate with the American people and bring the truth to our communities. I think what he's done on the economy has been second to none. Outstanding. And I think it'll pay big dividends. The issue in the midterm elections, I think, will be the economy, of course, but it's going to be the woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H. If 3, 4, 5% of the people decide to stay home because of Tucker Carlson, because of Steve Bannon, people they don't even know or understand, nobody understands them, because of Candace Owens and the other reprobates, just a small percentage who say we want no identity with Nazis, we want no identity with anti-Semites, we want no identity with people who trash Christians, who promote Sharia law, we want no identity with any of those people. They will cause us the election. And Tucker Carlson has said as much. Not going to vote Republican. He hates the Republicans. Okay, well, we have nothing else. The goal is to push the Republicans in the right direction, not to get the Democrats elected. These are saboteurs, low IQ saboteurs. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You know, this Wikipedia I've read from before, they really hate conservatives generally, but it could be such an outstanding, real, an objective encyclopedia site, but it's not. Now, you know, I talk about politics and history and philosophy, and we get into all these things as well as other things. But I'll give you an example of this. Let's see if I can find it here. We've batted, we've knocked heads with these guys before. They just pick up really 80% of the most negative things they can that people have said out there, and you can write anything that way. Be perfectly honest with you. Let's see here. I'm doing my best. Anyway, I'm trying to find this. Give me 2 seconds, America. According to The Guardian, This is my views on politicians and other individuals according to Wikipedia. So they'll take comments. I've been doing this a long time. And they'll only provide certain types of things that I've said in certain ways to make it appear a certain way. According to The Guardian, constant attacks on Democrats and the left are important components of Levin's modus operandi. According to Political, May 2009, Levin pronounced almost daily that Obama was a failure, a liar, a statist who was trying to destroy individual freedom. According to Rutgers University political scientist Stephen Eric Bronner, Levin tends to use socialism as a catch-all term to condemn any policy that strengthens the social welfare function of the state. July 2014, he called Jon Stewart a knee-jerk idiot, suggested that Stewart was a self-hating Jew. He has stated that Nancy Pelosi's politics comes as close to a form of modern-day fascism as I've ever seen. In January 2019, he said Pelosi was America's first fascist, and that's a fact. Levin said the new congressional speaker had hijacked the federal government by deciding to block the financing of President Trump's border wall. Levin has also mocked how Pelosi looks, referred to Beto O'Rourke as a weak man, called Dick Blumenthal a pathetic, loathsome liar. So far, it's relatively accurate, Mr. Producer. The problem is there's no context, but that's all right. He's criticized Republicans, including Paul Ryan, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, Mitch McConnell, with whom he disagrees. Sometimes refers to such individuals as rhinos. Levin, that phrase we popularized, didn't invent, but popularized on this program, just so you know. Levin endorsed Orrin Hatch when he faced a primary challenge in 2012, but later apologized for his endorsement when Hatch said that he would be willing to support a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, they write. Since then, he endorsed a number of Republican primary challenges to incumbent Republican senators. Levin supported the Tea Party's campaign to fire House Speaker John Boehner. Early in 2010, Levin criticized Glenn Beck, who's a friend of mine, for his criticism of certain Republicans. He has referred to Mitt Romney as an ass and called CNN host Brian Stelter a creep. Wow, that's quite a background there, Mr. Producer. Let's see. There's more, but why bother? I was considered the most incendiary person, you see. A 2016 study which sought to measure incendiary, discourse on talk radio and TV found that Levin scored highest on its measure of outrage. This is 9 years ago. The study looked at 10 prominent radio and television programs known for incendiary discourse. These are all leftists, of course, on political matters, and scored content on the basis of whether used emotional display, misrepresented exaggeration, mockery, conflagration, slippery slope, insulting or obscene language, and other factors, finding that Levin was the radio host who engaged in the most outrage. Notice there's no discussion here about the history we talk about, the philosophy we talk about, the content in it. No. They just quote who they want to quote. The study found he utilizes outrage speech or behavior at a rate of more than 1 instance per minute. 1 instance per minute, Mr. Producer? Hello, everybody. In Democracies Die, Harvard University political scientists Daniel Ziblatt and Stephen Levitsky write that Mark Levin was among the most popular right-wing radio hosts who helped to legitimate the use of uncivil discourse in American politics. Oh, yeah, right. They ever listen to the left and contribute to the erosion of democratic norms. According to Politico, Levin is a penchant for hysteria. So this is how they, do their smear jobs. This is how they do it. And yet when people come up to me, and they come up to me a lot, they appreciate most of all the discussions about history, American history, the discussions about world history, the discussions about philosophy, and the other things that we do. There's not a single mention of that in this. Not one. Not one. Because that's who they are. They can't help it. President Trump of Politico yesterday on the issue of birth. The president is coming up soon. We'll interrupt this for a live President Trump, I guess. Cut one, go.
You've got a lot of people
Oh, we have the president live right now in Pennsylvania. Here we go.
Yesterday, like at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. Well, I'm worried about them. Would anybody like to give up your place? Let some people come in from the cold. You go out to the cold. I don't think so. I just want to say hello, Pennsylvania, and I'm thrilled to be back. This incredible Commonwealth with so many proud, hardworking American patriots. That's what you are. So am I. I'm a proud, hard worker. I'm a proud patriot, but you're a proud patriot. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great reception. You know, we're on to expose what happened recently when we took over. You know, it's 10 months, and already we have the largest investment ever made in the history of, not our country, of any country anywhere in the world. Think of that. But let me begin by wishing each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of that stuff. Remember when I started? In 2015, I made my first speech, and I said, we're going to bring back Christmas. Remember, the radical left wanted to get rid of the word Christmas. I said, I don't think that's going to work out. And we did it, and now everybody's saying Merry Christmas again. But just over 1 year ago today, with your help, we saved America. That's what happened. We saved it. In the most important election victory possibly in the history of our country was going down. We were a country that was being scoffed at, laughed at all over the world.
And you saved
We won all 7. Thank you, Charlie. She said, and you saved us. Who are you? Stand up, please. Who said that? I love her.
He is a
Only in
connection with people
Pennsylvania
like,
can this
like
happen. I
nobody
know
else.
this state. By the way, last election, did we kick ass? We won. That means we won 3 times in a row, as you know. But we won all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College, 312 to 226. We won, and by the way, the real vote was much more than this. But
Yes, it was.
we wanted to make it too big to rig. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in many decades, and we won 86% of all counties in America, 2,700 to 525. That's good. We did it. Not me, we did it. And now, after just 10 months in office, I'm pleased to report that America is winning again, Pennsylvania is prospering again, and I will not rest until this Commonwealth is wealthier and stronger than ever before. Remember when Biden got up and called you a state? That was not good. He said, it's great to be back in this state. Oh, where are we? Where are we? What state is it? It's Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. Now, we're respected again as a country. We're respected. Since my inauguration, we've created nearly 60,000 new Pennsylvania jobs, including 4,000 Pennsylvania manufacturing jobs that the Democrats gave up on. You're doing better than you've ever done. Under our leadership, more than 40,000 Pennsylvanians have been lifted off of food stamps. 40,000. And working with a great guy, remember David McCormick? He used to go to every rally I had. He knew what was happening. And he's here again, as usual. I can't get rid of this guy. Where is he? He got a little lucky, though, you know, in Butler, a place called Butler, Pennsylvania. I love Butler, Pennsylvania, but it was amazing, and we had a tremendous crowd, like 55, 60,000 people. And then I called David. I said, David, come on up. He was working like hell to get elected. It was a tough race. And very few people could have done what he did. But I said, right at the beginning of the speech, I said, David, come on up. This was before the thing happened. And then I looked up and said, you know what, David, just stay there. I'll get you later. You're so lucky, David. You're so lucky, you don't know. I could have had a little differently shaped ear if it weren't for you. You know, you got very lucky that day. People don't talk about that, but I remember I called him up and I said, just stay there. Because he was walking a little bit slowly. I didn't want to take time. Oh, boy, that was a good day for you. What a job he did. He's really a great guy, and his wife, Dina, is fantastic. Thank you. Stand up, David. He's a lucky man. Working with Senator David McCormick, we've secured commitments for nearly $100 billion of investments in Pennsylvania. We were up here a few months ago. Some of the greatest energy companies in the world made that. We were doing it on a beautiful day, a little warmer than it is outside today, David. But over $100 billion, and we've saved a great American company. You know, we saved, this little group of people and me, saved a little company called U.S. Steel, and it's hot as a pistol now. And we have the keys to the company. It's always going to be here. It's never moving. They said, what happens if it moves to Japan? I said, you can't move a steel mill to Japan. You can move a headquarters, but the steel mill stays here. That's all that matters. And I will tell you, the company is spending billions and billions of dollars, and there was no second by comparison. Other companies were interested.
We're going to take a short break. This is fascinating. I love it. Love it, and I know you do, too. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
And all the time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can honestly say I've never seen an offer like this from them. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot. Just $29.95 a month for life. Friends, this is Pure Talk's top-tier plan, normally $65 a month, now through December 14th. Just $29.95 a month. You're saving over 50% a month every month for the rest of your life. Yes, that's on their crazy fast 5G network, but this offer is extremely short-lived. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's Levin for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan. Just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Keep your phone, keep your number, and start saving with unlimited for life for just $29.95 a month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. You can see puretalk.com for details. Offer ends December 14, 2025. Folks, don't miss this. President Trump in Pennsylvania, like the good old days.
The highest
I love
enrollment
this.
we've ever had, the greatest recruitment days we've ever had in the military. It's amazing. So it's November 5th, and it's also, again, it's a thing called tariffs. And I told you, I was about to say that, because I love the weave. You know what the weave is? You go here, bing, 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 bing. You always have to get back to the right location. But otherwise, they'll criticize you for straying from the speech. By the way, if I read what's on the teleprompter, you'd all be falling asleep right now. But it's true. 1 year ago, and during periods of time, I'd say my favorite word is the word tariff. I love it more than any other word in the dictionary. And the fake news said, that's terrible. What about God? What about family? What about religion? What about your sons, your daughters? What about how terrible that's just... So I moved it back to fifth. I have it to fifth, and now I'm in no trouble with the fake news, They say, what about religion? They always find... So you have to weave a little bit with the punches. You have to go, the boxers. You got to go with the punches. But it's been amazing what's happened. It's been amazing. It's a transformation of our country. I have the greatest oil man anywhere in the world. I see him sitting right there, Chris Wright. I was going to put him in, Doug Burgum. He's great. He's interior. And I said, Doug, I want you to go to Energy. You're really fantastic at Energy. Came from North Dakota. Big fracking place. He done really a great job. He was a great governor, I would say, right? Really great. And a great person. He's doing a fantastic job. I said, I want you to head up Energy, sir. I'd be good, but I'll tell you, there's one man out there in the whole world. There's one man out there who would be better than me. Who is it? A man named Chris Wright. Who the hell is Chris Wright? Give me a break. I never heard of the guy. Well, you never heard. He's the biggest there is. He's the smartest there is. The greatest oil man in the world. Chris Wright. I said, I got to see this guy. And after about 2 minutes, I understood exactly what Doug was saying. So I said, okay, Doug, you'll go to Interior. You work with, because interestingly, Interior owns all the land that has the oil. And he has all the expertise that drills the oil. And I said, we'll do a friendly merger here. This is pretty good. And that's what we did. And we're right now drilling more oil than we've ever done ever before. Prices are way down. We just had 4 states. It was just reported that 4 states had $1.99 a gallon. Right? We're still moving. So I want to introduce Chris Wright. Stand up, Chris. Who would think, you look at him, he's a nice looking guy and all that. Who would think he's rated, he's the most talented oil guy. He can put his nose in the ground and tell you whether or not there's oil. Other people have to spend billions of dollars on machinery and equipment, and it doesn't work. So I want to thank you. You're doing a great job. And is it true? We are right now, energy overall, not only the oil and gas, we are right now involved in more energy and have more energy in the works by far than we've ever had before. Is that right? Yeah. Not even
that
close.
Is right. We're producing more energy now than we ever had at any time in our history.
And I have no higher,
despite the blue states and their regulations.
America affordable again. That's what we're going to do. And again, they caused the high prices, and we're bringing them down. It's a simple message. If I had one message tonight, this is being covered like all over the world. This is crazy because I haven't made a speech in a little while. When you win, you say, I can now rest. So Susie Trump, do you know Susie Trump? Sometimes referred to as Susie Wiles. Susie Trump. She's the great chief of staff at the. They don't use the word chief of staff anymore because of the Indians got extremely upset.
We'll be right back. And all the time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can honestly say I've never seen an offer like this from them. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot. Just $29.95 a month for life. Friends, this is Pure Talk's top-tier plan, normally $65 a month, now through December 14th. Just $29.95 a month. You're saving over 50% a month every month for the rest of your life. Yes, that's on their crazy fast 5G network, but this offer is extremely short-lived. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's Levin for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan. Just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Keep your phone, keep your number, and start saving with unlimited for life for just $29.95 a month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. You can see puretalk.com for details. Offer ends December 14, 2025. Folks, don't miss this. I know you're anxious to hear it. Here we go. Back to President in Pennsylvania.
Their people, radical left, they rate the border and everything. You know how many people came into the border over the last 7 months? You know what it is? Zero. Except for the ones that came in legally, right? Legally. When Biden and congressional Democrats had power, they blew up our economy, sent prices soaring. Look, the poor guy, he didn't know what the hell was happening. Okay, I'm sorry. It wasn't him. It was the lunatics that circled. Yeah, it was the auto pen. You're right. I can't believe I didn't say that. I hate when you beat me to the punchline. I would not have said. Well, I'll tell you, I'll give the fake news a little breaking news. So I believe, and I may be correct, but we're checking this. We have a bad head of the Fed. Bad. We're going to be making a change. Fortunately, this guy said. But we have 4 members appointed by Sleepy Joe Biden. Which is better, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Historically, when I've done polls, from people, I do my own polls. I go to a big arena. We have 20,000 people. I say, which you like, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? And I learned, I save millions of dollars. I don't have to do any polling, okay? Typically, Crooked Joe wins. I'm surprised. Because to me, he's a sleepy son of a bitch, who destroyed our country. If we didn't come along, and it's not me, it's all of us. If we didn't come along, this country was destroyed, I'll tell you. It would have been destroyed. But now Democrats in Congress want to take us straight back to the Bidenomics. They don't change. And I don't really talk about it because, for instance, I watched a congressman the other day on a television show. They were interviewing a Democrat. He was fighting like hell for men to play in women's sports, okay? And I was going to put something out. I was going to he's a well-known congressman. And I said, let's save it about 2 weeks before the election. Right, David? We don't want to do it now. What the hell good does it do now? Let's save it for about 2 weeks because we don't want them to change. Just let them keep going. I think transgender for all is a great, great thing for the Democrats to be talking about. Transgender for every member in your family. If they're not feeling well that night, let's just change their sex. No, let's not talk about it. Let them go and let them fight to get these things. I think open borders are great, where prisons are emptied into our country, right? Where we have people from all over the world being dumped into our country, the people that aren't wanted in their countries, by the way. I think that's a great, like Somalia. Welcome. Do we have any individuals from Somalia in the group? Please raise your hand. That's for Minnesota, That's called the Great Big Minnesota Scam with one of the dumbest governors ever in history. I love this Ilan Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. She comes from a country where, it's considered about the worst country in the world, right? They have no military, they have no nothing, they have no parliament. They don't know what the hell the word parliament means. They have nothing. They have no police. They police themselves. They kill each other all the time. I love it. She comes to our country, and she's always complaining about the Constitution allows me to do this. We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother. Can you imagine if Donald Trump married his sister? Beautiful. She's a beautiful person. If I married my sister to get my citizenship, do you think I'd last for about 2 hours, or would it be something less than that? She married her brother to get in. Therefore, she's here illegally. She should get the hell out. Throw her the hell out. She does nothing but complain.
President Trump in Pennsylvania, live.
So now, and we have our savior in this room. His name is Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. He's right there. Because that very handsome man, that man By the way, if you're picking the Secretary of the Treasury, is he like the perfect guy for a movie? He's made for the movie. Stand up, Scott. Look at him. No, he's central casting. He's central casting. But you don't, under that beautiful exterior is a killer. And here's what happened. He is in charge of the investigation of Somalia and the billions of dollars they have robbed from Minnesota, right? I hope you do your job. I hope you're not one of these Republicans where something comes up and they don't do what they should do because they're nicer people. You know, they're much nicer people than the Democrats, but Scott's actually not a nice person at all. So, Scott, you're in charge of that investigation? Okay, I'm not interfering at all. I'm just saying, please do a good job, honest and fair. Right? Honest and fair. Oh, if he's honest and fair, you know what he's going to find? It's great. I'd love to have that job. I may switch jobs with you. I'd love to have that job. They're to get him the hell out of here. They hate our country. And she hates our country. And her friends hate our country. And AOC hates our country. They all do. And we have a new candidate in the great state of Texas, where I won Texas by more votes than anybody. And you have to understand, I'm being judged by these bad people back there, the fake news. So anything I say that's slightly off, I get like headlines. Donald Trump exaggerated, or Donald Trump lied. They give me Pinocchios, Washington Post, a Pinocchio. They lie every day. They give me a Pinocchio. But think of this. If I make even the slightest mistake, what they do is they go after me. Everything I say is correct. We have now a new candidate. I won Texas by the largest vote in the history of Texas 3 times, okay? I love Texas. Just like I love Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Just like I love, honestly, every one of our states. I love all of our states, and we've done so well. I love all of our states. What? By the way, is this a different country now than we had a year and a half ago? Right? What a difference. Crime is way down, despite the fact that we have many, bad people entered our country. Many of them are being taken out. Ultimately, they're all being taken out. Washington, D.C., we had a tragic incident, as you know, with the 2 incredible people. What a terrible thing that was just 2 weeks ago, right? Just a terrible National Guard, terrible thing. Sarah and Andrew. Sarah passed away. She's looking at us from heaven, from above. And she was killed almost instantly. They kept her alive. So her parents came from West Virginia, another great state. Her parents are incredible. They couldn't believe it. She was 20 years old. Perfect. She was just getting a little promotion. They were so proud of her. She was on her way up. And she was shot in the head. The brain, shot in the brain, shot in the head. They were able to keep her alive long enough for her parents to come in from West Virginia and say goodbye to her. And Andrew is the second one, who's also from West Virginia National Guard, incredible people. And so they were both from West Virginia. And his mother's named Monica. And Monica's the most positive person I've ever seen. The night that he was so badly hit and the doctors gave him almost no chance, I called their hospital room and spoke to her. And she said, sir, he'll be fine. Oh, no, I'm telling you, I'm praying. The whole country is praying. Sir, I'm telling you, don't worry about it. He's going to be fine. This is the mother talking to me. And the father's like devastated. He's an incredible guy, too, both. And I went and invited them to the Oval Office, and they came in. She said, sir, he's fine. It was amazing, actually. And today, Monica, she said, we're all praying, and I'm praying. And then she called to say, sir, he moved his finger today. This is like 3 days later. He moved his finger. And today I got a call that he got up from bed. Do you believe that? He got up. Wow. He got up.
We're going to have to take a little break here, America, but we will be back. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
And all the time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can honestly say I've never seen an offer like this from them. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot. Just $29.95 a month for life. Friends, this is Pure Talk's top-tier plan, normally $65 a month, now through December 14th. Just $29.95 a month. You're saving over 50% a month every month for the rest of your life. Yes, that's on their crazy fast 5G network, but this offer is extremely short-lived. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's Levin for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan. Just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Keep your phone, keep your number, and start saving with unlimited for life for just $29.95 a month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. You can see puretalk.com for details. Offer ends December 14, 2025. Folks, don't miss this. People are telling us, and I don't blame them. They want to hear their president, our president. So do I. Here we go.
They were ruining. They're going to destroy our country. The cost of a Christmas ham. What? Don't forget who? Oh, eggs. I'm getting the eggs. But you're right. Remember with eggs where I had my first news conference. 2 days went by and I had a news conference. Right? Unlike Biden, 2 years go by, he still didn't have it. Remember? He'd walk off the stage. He's finished with his, sir, you finished with your speech. Now what? You finished what? And then he'd walk into a wall. What he did, what they, and it wasn't him, it was some really smart, radical left lunatics. What they did to our country, we can never forget. We can never forget. But do you remember the first eggs? We remember the first 3 days. I just got there. Sir, what's these people? 2 of them are there, right there. Look at all those cameras you got. You got a lot of television going. 2 of them were there. And I'm talking about, yes, I look forward to getting involved and doing great things. What about eggs? Eggs are down. As they go, eggs. They said, the price of eggs is quadrupled. I said, oh, I didn't know that. Tell me about it. It's gone up like 4 or 5 times. Remember eggs right at the beginning? He's right when he says eggs. It went up like 4 times. It was like crazy. And they said, sir, don't buy. They came into the Oval Office. Sir, you know, we have an Easter egg hunt. It's like a thing for 150 years at the White House. Beautiful. They said, sir, we're going to buy plastic eggs this year. Plastic eggs. We don't have, enough eggs to go around for that. I said, you're going to buy regular eggs. And by the time Easter comes, we're going to have so many eggs, you're not going to know what to do. You're not buying plastic. And we didn't. And Brooke Rollins, our Secretary of Agriculture, did an incredible job. And eggs dropped like a rock. And we ended up buying a lot of eggs for a lot of. But the price of eggs is down now 80% since March. Think of that. And we have 2 price charts. Do you remember the last time I pointed to a chart? My all-time, I don't care what these charts say. My all-time favorite chart was the chart I had in Butler. It's nothing. I like the Butler chart. Remember, that was on how great employment was and all this. But I like it for other reasons. Look at that chart. It's good. But now I talk about the Butler chart, I don't even want to look at it. Doesn't mean anything. But look, Biden price increases and Trump price increases. Look at Biden. Up 37, 24%, 22, 21, 30.7, 30.7 again, 10.4%, 49%. Trump, the price is down 5.1, 4.2, 0.5, down 4%, 2.9. Look at that. Our prices are coming down. Their prices, it's a hoax. They're just, remember they said the Inflation Reduction Act. Remember that? Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. The inflation, and after they got it approved, because we had a few Republicans that went along with that whole hoax. And remember, we're going to pass the inflation.
It's the president in Pennsylvania.
There's nothing to do with inflation reduction there. There's nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with inflation either way, other than raising inflation, perhaps, because it was such a stupid. And then they admitted, they fought it like, oh no, this is inflation. After they got the thing passed, then they said, we agree, it has nothing to do with inflation. Screw you, we don't care. That's what it is. We're dealing with bad people. And the word affordability is the exact same thing. And I can't say affordability hoax because I agree the prices were too high, so I can't go to hoax because they'll misconstrue that.
We'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Folks, I got to tell you, there's enormous desire by you, Mr. and Mrs. America, to hear our president in Pennsylvania. It's almost like a campaign event. He has a way of communicating with the American people that nobody does. And the concern here is that we must win the midterm elections. The Democrats are lying about the economy. The media are lying about the economy. I remember when this was done, when Bill Clinton was running for president against George Bush, turned 41, and Bush didn't have the ability to push back. They said we were in a recession, and we were not. But in any event, I think they're tangling with the wrong guy here. We've got to hold the House. We cannot allow the Marxist Islamists, the neo-fascists. We cannot allow people who now say they want to destroy the Republican Party, the Carlsons and so forth, to do this to our country. We must win the midterm elections for our sake, the nation's sake, our children and grandchildren's sake, and to continue with this president. All right, you win. Here's the president. Go.
And my hand will never be the same. I patted him on the back. I said, Saquon, let's go. You're my partner today. Let's go win. Because it was like I hit a piece of steel. I said, what the hell is with you, Saquon? That's pretty. He's good. But he's a better football player than he is a golfer. Trust me. He's so strong. Those muscles are, but his football is great. His golf will be very good. Very good. But we won. We won our match. And you do have a great coach. I was with you, Coach. I got a little streak going here, but that'll change. But he's a great coach. Well, you won the whole deal, right? I got to know him last year when he came to the White House, and I said, this guy's he's a real leader. The players loved him. And you had some players that are just, really just fantastic guys. But you have a good football team. It's really good to watch. But for 4 long years, Biden and the Democrats tried to endlessly kill Pennsylvania energy jobs. They worked so hard to kill the jobs. They wanted wind all over the place, Let's go buy those windmills for millions of dollars each from China. Every time it goes around, you lose $15. Did you know that? That's on average. You're supposed to make money with energy. You're not supposed to lose money with energy. And everybody that's doing wind is in virtual bankruptcy right now. If you look at UK, I told he's a nice man, Starmer, Prime Minister. I said, you have a great energy source in the North Sea. Use it. Well, you're not going to be in office very long. Their energy prices, they're putting wind all over Scotland, all over the most beautiful fields in the world, Scotland. All over beautiful. Oh, we have some Scottish people here. Where the hell did you come from? We have Scottish people. But they're putting wind all over Scotland. The people are not thrilled with it. And it's costing them a fortune. They have the most expensive energy. And I said, I'm going to do you a favor. You could be there for a long time. Open up the North Sea oil. One of the greatest oil. And, they like to say, well, it's very well depleted. No, it's good for another 500 years. And they haven't even found most of it yet. And if you look at Norway, they have a section of the North Sea, which in theory isn't as vibrant. And it's a very rich country. They have a tremendous worth because of the North Sea. But UK has to, if they don't go back to oil, I think a lot of bad things are happening to Europe. That their immigration policies are so bad. It's so bad. They're destroying our beautiful Europe. I love Europe. They're destroying Europe, and they better do something. I'll give them just some free advice. I'm focused here, but I give them free advice. They better be careful because immigration and energy are going to destroy Europe. On day one, I ended the war on Pennsylvania energy. I just terminated something that was insane. And we all love Elon. Elon was up here campaigning, right? But I said, Elon, I think electric cars are great, but not everybody wants an electric car. And I ended the insane electric vehicle mandate where everybody was supposed to have an electric car by the year like 2030 or some ridiculous year like that. It's not going to be that way. I don't think it'll be some like hybrids, some kind of like gasoline powered. I mean, the nice thing about gasoline is we have 2,000 years worth of we have more gasoline, we have more oil and gas than any country anywhere in the world. Is that right? And they want us to go to batteries. Let's go to batteries. We don't have battery content. So let's go to batteries, according to these morons that were in our country. Let's not use oil and gas, which we have more than any country in the world. Let's go to batteries. Well, we have to go to the Congo and get it from China. But I actually stopped the war with Congo and Rwanda, and they said to me, please, please, we would love you to come and take our minerals, which we'll do. But I stopped the Green New Scam. It's a total scam. And, we had, they used to call it global warming. Then they called it 15 other things. None of them worked. So they came up with climate change. Remember? Climate change. Because you can't go wrong with climate change if it goes up. Remember? Global warming. And then the temperature started going down like a rock. Remember? We had global warming and they sent that big, beautiful ship with all scientists on it. And it went into deepest Alaska. It went up through the ice. And the global warming, it was getting so warm. Except, unfortunately, they had a bad few weeks. It got so cold that the ice just crushed the ship. We had to take those poor bastards out by helicopter. The scientists, they said, one guy was petrified of helicopter. He said, I have a choice, go down in the ice with the ship or go in a helicopter. He chose the helicopter. He made it. But we have a very simple policy, right, Chris? Drill, baby, drill. We have a simple policy. And natural gas production is booming. Coal mining is up by 2.4 million tons a month. And we're also reviving Pennsylvania manufacturing. And with our historic tariffs, steel production is roaring back. We're building steel mills all over the country. And U.S. Steel is coming back at a level never thought possible before. And I was up. And I was up here and with the workers and with Selena. Do you know Selena? Does everybody know? And with some other people. We were up with some great people, and we spent the whole day, and they were determining whether or not they want to make which one of the deals. I went to the workers. I said, which one do you like? We picked the right one. As I said before, billions of dollars they're spending, and the steel workers are doing phenomenally better. I think you're going to do better than you've ever done before. You were losing all of your steel. If we didn't have tariffs, you would have no steel. We wouldn't have one steel mill anywhere in the United States. And that would be really bad for, Scott, national security. The one thing you need steel. You can give
obviously the president is in Pennsylvania. This is live.
Pencils. That's under the China policy. You know, every child can get 37 pencils. They only need one or two. You know, they don't need that many. But you always need steel. You don't need $37 for your daughter. 2 or 3 is nice, but you don't need $37. So we're doing things right. We're running this country right. We're also putting thousands of dollars in the pockets of hardworking Pennsylvanians with the largest tax cuts in American history. That's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, no tax. And all of that kicks in on January 1st. You know, it hasn't kicked in yet. I mean, we're doing great, and it hasn't kicked in yet, and it's amazing. And it's one of the reasons they said, sir, would you mind going on the trail? And I actually like it, you know. I have fun. I haven't read practically anything off the stupid teleprompter. And then my speechwriters they're getting awards for some of the finest
We got to
speeches,
take a break, folks. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. As President Trump said, I'm a mom, a wife.
Pennsylvania, President Trump.
2 brilliant children. And the no tax on tips is incredible. No tax on overtime is incredible for my husband. And it all comes back to our family. It saves us, and it's for the future of our children. And it's been such a blessing to be home with them and to have them here with me tonight. And thank you for everything, President.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what's great? So she had these notes, right? Not notes, it's a speech. She never even looked at it. She was great. It's much better when you don't have to read it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So I just thought, great job. That's a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. Never looked at the notes. She never looked at those notes. That's pretty cool. I have a lot of professionals sitting right here. They'll get up and read a speech. But Megan didn't have to do that. Another key part of our tax cuts is known as Trump accounts. Under this new program, the federal government will be creating an investment savings account for every single newborn American child with $1,000 to be invested and grow over the course of their life, right at the beginning of birth. Friends, family, employers, and loved ones will be able to add thousands of dollars a year, and it's like a trust fund for every American child. It's going to be something, and it's really exciting. And I want to thank Michael Dell and his beautiful Dell computer. Go out and buy a Dell computer. He got it started. He put up $6.25 billion. And he started with nothing. Think of that. And he just put that up, $6.25 billion. Michael Dell, thank you wherever you may be. Michael is probably in Texas watching us right now. And his beautiful wife, they're a great couple. His wife is incredible. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against these unbelievable benefits for American families. Why would you vote against? Money is being put up, big money is being put up. And you know, these kids, when they get to be 18, 20, 21, 30, 35 years old, they could have $100,000, $200,000, and they're going to be rich. I mean, they're going to feel rich, and they're going to be watching it grow, and they may be helping it grow. Who knows? You never know. But it's going to teach them. It's going to be a great thing. This was Michael and some other people's ideas. They wanted to do this, and they spoke with their wallet, too. They put up a tremendous amount of money. So I just want to thank Michael Dell, his wife and family, and everybody else that was with us the other day. It was a big day, and it's a big event. But we're joined today by some of your representatives who voted to put more money in your pockets. And these are great people. And I introduced David. I'm going to ask him to stand up again, because David McCormick is a really great man in the truest sense. He won a race. You know, he really did well the first time, too, but some bad things happened, right? And very few people are willing to do that again. And to be honest, if he would have lost, I know his wife. She's a beautiful woman, extremely into the social scene, but respected by everybody. She would have left him if he lost. And I told him that Dina would have left him. She's that way. Hey, we can't help it. That's the way she is. So I said, David, you're taking a big risk if you run again, because if you lose twice, your wife is leaving you. And he wasn't worried. Stand up. David McCormick. Yeah. He was so great. He followed me every
I don't know how this man does it, President. What is he, 78, 79 years old? He's happy. He's engaged. Sharp as a tack. Just incredible.
They like me in some cases. I was thinking about, let's keep him off the stage. But they really loved you. And you've been a great senator. And you have a great wife. Thank you very much. Thank you. And a congressman who's been a warrior, and a couple of guys that have just been unbelievable. But Rob Bresnahan, would you stand up, Rob? What a job you're doing, huh? Young, handsome, central casting. Great job. Thank you very much, Rob. Great job. And another one. These are warriors, these two guys. But the three of them. And then you have the senator, but the three of them. Ryan McKenzie. Ryan, thank you. And it's hard for me to explain how hard they work, but they were working so hard getting that big, beautiful bill. I call it the great, big, beautiful bill passed. You know, that was supposed to be in 17 bills. And I actually said it because I'm not that experienced. I haven't been doing it that long, believe it or not. I haven't been doing this. I had one man, he was a congressman, and we had a big meeting, and he was telling us all how to do something. And I said, I disagree with that. He said, sir, I've had 22 races, and I've won 20 of them. I know what I'm doing. And I said, sir, I've had 3 races, and I've won all 3 of them. And mine was for president. And he said, all right, you got me on that. He's actually a good man. He got a little carried away one day. But that's because these guys wanted to do it my way, too. So we had 17 bills prepared, Dan Muser, right? Stand up, Dan. What a great guy. Stand up, Mrs. Muser. Dan is he's a very powerful congressman, but he's a great person, great man. All 3 of these guys, they're warriors, and your senators, very few people that I've ever met that would take that risk. It was a risk. You know, it takes guts to run for public office, right? It takes guts. A lot of guys talk, including me. I talked about this for a long time before I did it. It takes courage to run for any public office because, you know, you can be very embarrassed. You can ruin your life. Look at me. I got impeached. I got indicted. I was never going to be impeached, indicted. I get indicted like 87 times with these stupid... See, they should have indicted me once. They would have had a better chance. With all of the... I'd used to get up. It was very important. I'd get up and say, here we go again. Ladies and gentlemen, I got indicted again. And nobody believed the whole thing. And then I'd explain it, and it turned out to be a hoax. I mean, it was a total hoax. They're very, very bad, very, very bad people. But Dan Muser has been a great congressman. He was thinking about running for governor. I think you would have won if you ran, but, you know, in a selfish way, I like you in Washington even better. So I want to thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. That's even more important. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks as well to Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright. You guys have been great. Thank you. I introduced them, but I want to introduce because they have been so good. A major factor that fueled inflation under Biden was the invasion of 25 million pieces. All
right, folks, we're going to take a little break here after the bottom of the hour. We're going to address a few other matters. People wanted to hear the president. I certainly don't blame them. He was just fantastic. We'll be right back.
If Mark has banned you from the show, we have a special number you can call to reach him, 877-381-3811.
All right, I'll make an exception for this show, Mr. Producer, given the great demand that people want to hear. I don't know if it's the end of the president's speech, but it's been so long. He's done one of these events. They want to hear it, and we will accommodate you. I can't typically do it this long in the course of a program, but we'll do it today. All right. The president, one more time. Let's roll.
Right? Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people, do you mind? But we always take people from Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting.
That changed, as I've written years and years ago in Liberty and Tyranny. We've talked about here repeatedly with the 1965 Act that was passed by Congress that now other commentators are finally starting to talk about. Go ahead.
With the drug dealers from Venezuela and others. That same missile, think of it, from hundreds of miles away, we have the greatest military, we have the greatest equipment, we make the greatest equipment in the world. I bought more equipment. We rebuilt the military in the first term. Mm-hmm. Then Stupid Joe gave a lot of it to Afghanistan, but it was a lot, but relatively little. But we're still adding to it a lot. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking at this big tough guy with the red hat on. I like that guy. But stand up. Let me just see what you look like. Nobody's going to mess with him. Okay. He's central casting. Thank you very much. Very good. I see he's enjoying it. I like people that enjoy things because you got to smile about this whole thing. But that same missile system that hits the center of everyone. Remember, every boat that gets hit, we don't want to do that, but every boat that gets hit, we save 25,000 American lives. Every boat. And when you view it that way, you don't mind. But we have that same system aimed at Somalia, and if they go and want to raid our ships, and not our ships, worldwide shipping, they used to go and take the ships. When one or two of them get hit, they say, we'll pass. So we've cut down drugs, 94% coming in from sea. 94. Right? 94%, Muser. 94%, Muser. That's pretty good. We're trying to figure out who the hell are the other 6%. They're finding it very hard to get people to navigate those waters. The problem is nobody wants to go fishing anymore either. They don't want to get in boats. They don't want anything to do with boats. I think we've destroyed the boat market. Other than that, it's been very effective. We've cut it down 96%. Think of that. And now we're going to do land because the land is much easier and it's even more prevalent. If you don't share our values, contribute to our economy and assimilate into our society, then we don't want you in our country. We don't want you. I mean, Ilhan Omar and the people from Somalia, they hate our country. And they think we're stupid people, which actually, when they allow that to happen, they are. That's headed by Governor Walz, one of the dumber people around. No, but think of it. He's given not like peanuts, billions. These are people that don't work in their own country. Their own country's a failure. They have no money there. And yet they come into our country and steal tens of billions of dollars. How stupid are we to allow that to happen? They can't earn 10 cents in their country. They come over here and rob. Are we that easy? Are we that easy to allow a thing like that to happen? That's up to you. And look at what's going on in North Carolina. We have a big Senate race. We have a fantastic man, Michael Whatley, running as a Republican, head of the Republican Party. Won elections, won the presidential election.
I want to get him on our program, America. Rich, let's try and get Wiley on the show here.
And Michael should win. I don't know. It's hard. You beat a two-term governor, but the governor didn't do a good job. But what's happening in North Carolina? Two of the most vicious murders that anyone's ever seen in Charlotte. And it's all run by the Democrats. What's going on there? The young lady from Ukraine, you saw that one where Guy from behind just cut her throat on tape. Can't even watch it. What's going on in North Carolina? You need a Republican running that, and you've got to have a Republican senator elected. If you don't, and Michael Watley's running, he's going to be great. So we have people from North Carolina here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wasting so many words. It's a Senate race, but you agree with me, I think, Mr. Senator, right? Together, we've achieved more in less than 1 year than most other administrations have achieved in 8 years. And we're restoring law and order to our cities, backing the men and women of law enforcement. I love law enforcement. And standing with the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol. We've ended political correctness in our military. We've renamed the Department of Defense into the Department of War. I said to Pete, Pete's a tough cookie, and I said to Pete, I used to do interviews with him, and all he wanted to talk about was the military. I said, this guy's great, smart guy, great education, great everything. The press gave him a hard time, real hard time, but he's really proven to be very, very good, very, very strong. Young, strong, smart. We have Raisin Cain, the great general who knocked out ISIS for us in 4 weeks. Raisin Cain, they said it was going to take, right? They said it was going to take 5 years, sir. Or, sir, it'll take 5 years. He said, sir, I can do it in 4 weeks. Did it in 3 weeks. Knocked out ISIS. He did a hell of a job in knocking out the Iran nuclear capability. We knocked out the Iran nuclear capability. Now compare that to Jimmy Carter, the Democrats. Well, he was a nice man, but he was. But we don't really want a nice man. You want to have somebody that's capable. They were talking about Greg Gutfeld. He's a very good guy. Greg Gutfeld, very good guy. But Greg Gutfeld he didn't like me very early in his, he didn't like me. I don't know, he just didn't like me. And it was all right, but, it's okay, I'll live with it. Then all of a sudden he started saying, I don't like this guy, but everything he says, he gets it done. And, then he gone a couple of months later and he started going like, I'm starting to like that guy better. Every damn thing he says, he gets it done. And it's all really good, common sense, tough stuff. I've never seen anything like it. Everything he says, he gets done. And then he started to really like me. And then we did an interview. It was supposed to be a 10-minute interview. It lasted for 2 hours. There was a good chemistry. And he did 5 shows, all 5 shows that week. And he got the highest ratings that anyone's ever gotten in that time slot. And he became legendary. I'm happy for him. But there was something. But he said, during the process, he said, so would I rather have a guy as president who was really a nice guy who I liked, or a guy who I can't stand that gets everything done and turns our country into a great country again? And he was smart. It was a very interesting process, but he's a great guy. He's doing really well. Totally dominates the late night. Totally dominates. So I guess those morons that they have at the other. Kimmel. What bad people? In 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Kosovo, Serbia, Pakistan, and India. They were going at it. Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia. You didn't know about that. Armenia and Azerbaijan. And I hate to say this, one named Cambodia, Thailand, and it started up today. Tomorrow I'll have to make a phone call, and I think they'll get it. Who else could say, I'm going to make a phone call and stop a war of 2 very powerful countries, Thailand and Cambodia? They're going at it again. But I'll do it. So we're making peace through strength. That's what we're doing. We've cut federal funding for any school that pushes critical race theory or transgender insanity. No more money. We banned the chemical, surgical mutilation of children. Think of this. Can you imagine if you were up here 15 years ago? We have banned the chemical mutilation of children. They'd say, this guy's crazy. We actually had to ban it. But think, can you imagine that? Or I have stopped men from playing in women's sports. They'd say, this guy's crazy. Men don't play in women's sports. Stop men. Well, that's another thing. We stopped men from playing in women's sports, and we're restoring the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley in beautiful Alaska. And I renamed the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. So in conclusion, from the shipyards of Philadelphia to the steel mills of Pittsburgh, these are great places. Maybe some of you don't even realize it. You know, you get used to it a little bit too much sometimes, but these are great places. From the union halls of Scranton to the kitchen tables of millions of Pennsylvania families, we're bringing prosperity and pride surging back to this magnificent Commonwealth. We're bringing it surging back here hot. Our country's hot and you're hot. Together, we're repairing 4 years of disaster by the radical left Democrats in Congress and by the worst president in the history of our country. He is. I mean, it's not a question about that. He's just the worst president in the history of our country. What the damage thank you very much. The damage he's done to our country is something we can never forget. After just 10 months, our border is secure, our spirit is restored, inflation is stopped, wages are up, prices are down, our nation is strong, America is respected again, and the United States is back. People, right? All these all of my friends right up here. Every single, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. He looks like The Rock. You look like The Rock. Stand up. Let me see what you look like. Yeah, look at that. The Rock would be very happy with that look.
It's funny.
Every single day of this administration, we will keep on working for the hard-working.
Well, I pushed it as far as I can. We have a hard break here. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
All I can say about what the president just did is wholly you-know-what, Mr. Producer. You agree with me? It was unbelievable. Fantastic. We carried as much as we could here live. He's one of a kind. He's absolutely perfect out there the way he does this. And if he keeps doing it, I mean, it's got to be exhausting to a point, right? Although he's the Energizer president, that's for sure. That's for sure. Well, the fact of the matter is, on the economy, the president's doing a whole lot better than the media will give him credit for. And, of course, the Democrats want to talk down everything. That's all they do. That's all they say. They try to put people in jail, and they try to destroy what works. And that's the truth. Now, when you look at this economy, it is going to grow even a whole lot more when the big, beautiful bill and those massive tax cuts for working Americans kick in, and all Americans. That's going to have an enormous impact. He has already slashed more than any president regulations and the bureaucracy, despite the litigation and the federal judges trying to obstruct him. Every one of his cabinet officers, every one of his cabinet secretaries are focused on finding ways to create growth, which creates prosperity and wealth for you, Mr. and Mrs. America. It's a completely different direction he's taking the country in. And he is bringing enormous sums of money into the country to rebuild our industries, particularly things like the shipping industry, which is in desperate need for national security and other reasons for that matter. But securing the border, keeping illegal immigrants out, keeping crime down. Also, illegal immigrants not competing for jobs, illegal immigrants not competing for housing. This is very, very important. You can't bring 20 million people into this country and not have enormous negative consequences across the board, across the country, across the culture. And he's put an end to that. And he's breaking his neck trying to create peace all over the world and prosperity. You know, you have people who say, like these third-tier, know-nothing pollsters and others, who are wrong about everything, right about nothing. He doesn't talk enough about the economy. Affordability is a real issue. He's out there talking about the economy. He needs to, and he is, explaining the progress that's been made And I could be dead wrong, but I'd predict to you the midterm elections, well, they're going to be hard because the party out of power usually loses. But I think affordability won't be that big of an issue. I think the Democrats will run on it even if we have massive economic expansion, because that's what they do. But I also think if we lose the midterm elections, you can thank Tucker Carlson. You can thank Candace Owens. You can thank Steve Bannon. You can thank that whole crowd, because some people may stay home because they don't like the whole idea of Nazis. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, men and women in Ukraine, men and women in Israel, and you, the American people, red-blooded Americans. I'll see you tomorrow.